Hello knitters, Barbara Benson here. I'm an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on my YouTube channel, Watch Barbara Knit. If you'd like to know more about my knitwear designs, please check in the description below, and there you'll find a link to my Ravelry designer page where you can get your own copy of one of my patterns to knit up for yourself. Also in the description below, you will find a link to the Watch Barbara Knits Facebook group. We'd love to have you come over and join this closed group so we can continue the conversations that we start here on this YouTube channel. And as always, I love chatting with people in the comments below. I try to respond to as many as I can. Today we have a pattern tour because I have a brand new pattern. I'm always super excited when I have new patterns to share with you, and the pattern tour is so you can see a little bit more of it than just these static photos, and I can tell you a little bit about what went into making it. This pattern is a hat and its name is Brocatelle, and here it is. What do you think? You have probably, if you've been watching my videos, you've probably seen, you saw a little swatch of this and it kind of hangs out. And here is finally the finished product. Let me hold it real still so you can see it. And it has a pom-pom. In one of my videos where I showed off the swatch, I asked y'all, because I was still at the deciding process if I was going to start with gray and then end with pink at the top, and a lot of people liked this idea, and I think it worked out great, where it starts with gray, ends with gray, and then has a pink pom-pom. But of course, if you don't want the pom-pom, you simply don't have to make it and put it on. I actually have it just tied on with a bow so that I can take it off, because honestly, I'm making this video before I actually shoot the photographs for the pattern. So I want to take pictures of it with and without the pom-pom, but the pom-pom makes me so happy. He's so poofy. So this is knit in two colors, obviously. I used this absolutely delicious yarn called String Dolcetto, and it is 70% merino wool and 30% cashmere, which accounts for the fuzziness. I don't know if you can tell. I'm trying to angle it. You can see it like here over on the edge. It has a faint halo of fuzziness. It is super duper soft, and the merino cashmere blend is going to make it super warm. Now, right now for me, it is not exactly the temperature for something warm like this, but I know there are lots of places that are still in looking at maybe a little bit more winter, and in the other half of the hemisphere, they're getting ready to go into winter. So there's always good time to knit hats. I'm trying to hold it so you can see. It's got a really fun pattern on it that is, you know what, it came out of a Stitch Dictionary. I didn't make this one up, and it was called Tiny Brocade, and it is another slip stitch pattern. If you look very closely, you can see it also has an interesting combination of slipping with yarn in back and slipping with yarn in front, but just to create a very specific effect, which is this little bar. See, those are slipped with yarn in front, so it gives that really interesting effect. And the reason why I called it Brocatelle is because Brocatelle is a form of brocade, but that stands out in really high relief. And this was called Tiny Brocade, but I knit it in Aran weight yarn, so it's not really tiny. It's like chunky. So I thought Brocatelle would be a lot of fun. Again, this is Aran weight yarn. You can see you have to have two contrasting colors. I believe this one, I think it's silver and bubblegum are the colors I used, but again, you can pick your own colors. I thought this really bright pink color was a lot of fun. The pattern starts off with 2x2 ribbing, and then it moves into, I didn't want to just do all brocade all the time. I wanted to have like a delineated chunk of it. And so this is actually, I call this a 2-color seed stitch. It is actually worked in 1 round stripes, and I want to let you see the surprise. It actually is way easier than it looks. And I think it's super fun how it came out with these little pops. These are the pearl bumps, and they're in pink. And so you work, and so this is in single row. So it's a stripe of gray, a stripe of pink, a stripe of gray, a stripe of pink in a slip stitch pattern. And then you go into 2 rows. So it's 2 rows of pink, 2 rows of gray. So you're just knitting stripes. Here, I'll turn it inside out so you can see how you just carry the yarn, whoop, whoop, up, and it creates that, just always lifting from below at the same time, and it creates that barber pole. You got to make sure you do it loose because you want to be able to block your hat, but not crazy loose because you don't want loops. But you can see from the inside, there's no carried yarn. You're just knitting stripes and slipping stitches. There's no extra yarn, so it doesn't make it double thick. And you know, it's cashmere. So you don't want to have a lot of that excess yarn. It actually looks kind of cool from the inside. Of course, you don't have to use cashmere. Pretty much any nice Aran weight yarn is gonna work. I don't think I would try this with one of the colors being variegated because the pattern is so intricate that you are gonna lose how it looks. But here, if I hold it flat like that, I think you can really see it. And it's got, the reason why I have to fold it like this is it will not stay flat. It won't flatten out. It just kind of dumps over because of the way the top works. You know what? You can't see the top. Here, let's take Mr. Pom Pom off. Now, if you were going to keep your pom pom on here, you're going to want to secure it much better. I just put the threads through and simply tied a regular, so it could easily come out as you see me struggling with it. It's just a regular old knot, and then I tied a bow. So boop, see, he comes right off. Now you can see the top. So it decreases fairly quickly. It has decreases on every round, and it creates that fun spiral at the top, and it's almost a flat top hat so that it doesn't taper a whole lot because I wanted as much room for my brocade as possible. And then it has the pom-pom on top. So it just sits on. It's super cute. You see? And if I had the pom would pull it back even more and make it slouch. But you could see it's super cool. I said super cool how many times? So now you have to imagine the pom-pom. Actually, if you will give me a moment, I will put the pom-pom back on. Be right back. Ta-da! The magic of video. So the pom-pom is back. So there you go. Now let me see what other details you are going to need. You need 1 skein of each color. It is Aran weight, and this had 136 yards per 50-gram ball. So let me make sure, double check that. Yep. I used a size 7 needle for the brim because you want it tighter in so it hangs onto your head, and then a size 9 needle for the body because slip stitch can get dense. So I wanted to keep it nice and so it would flop, because if it's a slouchy, it needs to flop a little bit. There are 2 sizes, a small medium, which should fit a range from 19.5 to 22 inches, and then a large that's 22 to 24. I knit the large because I got a big old head. Well, it's not that I have a big head, I just have a lot of hair. So that is, you're going to need 8 stitch markers, and one of them needs to be a unique, because one of them is going to need to mark your end of round, and the other ones are for when you do the top for the spiraling decreases. So it's just knit to 2 stitches before the marker, knit 2 together. It makes it really super easy. The pattern is entirely written out, so you can knit it entirely from the written instructions. And then for the color work, there is also a chart provided, so you can work the color work from a chart if you prefer charts. So both instructions are provided. Pom, pom, pom. Of course, If you are using a circular needle, which I did, once you get to the top and you start needing to do these decreases as it becomes smaller in circumference, you'll either need to switch to magic loop or your preferred way of knitting in the round. So I just did the whole thing magic loop on a long cable, but if you are using like a 16-inch needle, you're going to need to have a set of DPNs to switch to as it gets smaller. Just depends on how you like it. You are going to need to block it. I blocked it on a balloon, which is always fun. And then you make your pom pom. I used a pom pom maker, which is not currently sitting on my desk, but this is the package for it is. I used a pom pom maker. This is a 2.5-inch pom pom. So you can see this set made 2 different sizes, and I made the 2.5-inch. It's up to you what size you make. I made the pom-pom and then steamed it and trimmed it. I followed actually a YouTube video on making pom-poms. I'll link it in the description below. It helps to, learn how to make the fun pom-pom. So this is Brocatelle. It is my new hat pattern. And let's see, what stitches are involved? Knit 2 together, and the only place the knit 2 togethers are in the head decrease, crown decrease, purl, slip with yarn in front. Really, so knit, purl, slip with yarn in front. Those are the only stitches involved in this hat. You're just knitting stripes and slipping stitches. So really the constituents parts, very, very simple, but it looks like you did something way fancier. So I hope you like this new pattern. It's my first pom-pom. And click on over. I will put a link in the description below to the Ravelry page where you can get a copy of this hat to knit up for yourself. And if you do, please share that information on the Facebook page. It's one of the reasons we have the Facebook group, is so that we can share pictures of what we're working on. If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel and select notifications. Thank you so much.